Okay, we're here with brothers Hilton. Roger on the left, Joe on the right. Welcome, fellows.
Yeah, right.
Now, I thought we'd talk a little bit today about where Muay Thai came to in Australia. Roger, where did you start with your martial arts?
I started in Nambour about August '78, and started with Bob Jones.
Zendu Kai?
Zendu Kai, yeah.
And Joe, you were there roughly?
Yeah, we started the same night actually on the first day. Yeah, so we progressed through, and I sort of bailed out after about 3 or 4 years and went and partied for a bit and come back about 1.5 years after that. Yeah. Roger stuck with it all the way.
I started going and got my ranks.
Right. Now that we went from, sorry, was there full contact competitions in karate?
Yeah, there was. We used to have just kickboxing, and that's kicks up to your waist, below the above the waist.
So essentially the sport karate was what Bob Jones started with.
Yeah, it was founded by Bob Jones, and yeah, that's where it come from.
And so we went from, because I remember going to some of these shows, there was X number of kicks above the waist you had to compete in one round.
Six kicks.
6 or 8.
Yeah, one of them 6 or 8 kicks above the waist, and then you can box as much as you like after that. So
yeah.
And what sort of competitions? Were they over 10 rounds or 5 rounds?
I think they were 3 rounds.
Yeah, 3 to 5.
3 minute and a half rounds, I think they were.
Yeah.
Right. Now, what was the next change of competition from?
In those original ones, it was gi pants. They wore gi pants when they first fought in the ring, and that was in the sort of late '80s. They were fighting with gi pants on, no top. And then I think it was about '89. I think it would have went to Muay Thai shorts, and that was the first time we really heard about the Muay Thai. And then they brought leg kicks in, and everyone went, "Oh shit, not going to do leg kicks. That'll destroy you." So that sort of come in. That's when the whole change sort of started. It was back in the late '80s, so to speak.
So it went to essentially modified Thai.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
were you using knees then, or knees came in after the leg kicks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, knees were too dangerous, I thought. Yeah. Then they went to just the knees and the legs and the hands, and then later on they came to the elbows.
So the knees came in roughly when?
Probably early '90s. They followed about a year or so after the leg kicks. Tony Hill actually, and probably Tony Coburn, Aaron Kirkby started with the gi pants on. I know Tony Hill for sure. That's when he first started fighting, and then they took the gi pants off, went to Muay Thai shorts, leg kicks. I think it was early '90s, and they went to knees. I know when we were over in New Zealand, Tony and them competed over there, and it was definitely not full modified Thai with knees.
And when did the elbows come in?
Probably about '95 onwards.
Yeah, '95.
Yeah.
And have the boys been travelling to Thailand a bit by this stage with you? Or?
I think we did a couple of trips, one trip to Thailand. I did.
Yeah.
And that's when we started more pushing the elbows because we became more confident. We thought they were too dangerous for a start, but no one's ever been hurt by an elbow, like actually damaged by an elbow. So.
And I know you boys were travelling a lot to New Zealand. Did the Thais over in New Zealand help the transition of the sport?
Not really. They were a little bit funny, the Thais. They sort of kept themselves over in New Zealand. They'd be there gambling on the sport, but they never really put a lot into the sport. Lolo, who was one of the top trainers in New Zealand, he was the one that probably brought Muay Thai along, but in saying that, they don't do much elbow fighting. They're behind on the grappling skills and the elbows at this stage anyway.
New Zealand generally?
Yeah, New Zealand generally, yeah.
Right. So how do we actually start the elbows? Was there, how do we get the skill base to start throwing elbows?
I think we just learned from going to Thailand. I went over in the early '90s with Tony Hill when Tony was actually fighting. He was probably one of the first with Paul Briggs to fight the Thais, and Tony got a pretty good reputation. So one of the promoters out of the Gold Coast took us across in '91. I think it was '91 or '92 to Bangkok, and that's when Tony sort of come to fame. And after that, he was fighting modified Thai against the Thais, and he fought a world champion and lost on points and nearly beat a couple as well. So then we sort of realised that to progress to be world champion or whatever, you've got to fight with a full Thai. And so we train.
And the Thais were happy to fight modified Thai?
Yeah, at that time they were doing anything, and a lot of it come through Stephen Fox. Stephen was in Mackay at that time, so Stephen was the one that introduced us really into the Muay Thai.
Yeah.
And then he sort of got us to come across to Thailand when he moved across there full time himself. So Stephen was the starter of the sport in Australia. So we just followed on and pushed the Zendu Kai aside and decided to go into training kickboxing for starters, and then went into Muay Thai.
So when would you have dropped off the kickboxing side of your training?
90, probably early 90s.
Early 90s.
Roger and Wayne Lovelock started promoting over in Mumbai, putting fight shows on, and that was predominantly kickboxing. And probably
how actually the Muay Thai started in Australia is when the boat race was on, the yacht race. We won America's Cup. Bob Jones went around the world and had seen these little guys kicking bags, and he said never seen them kick so hard with his shins. So he's come back then to the Zendu-Kai. He said, right, Zendu-Kai, he said, put more effort into the Muay Thai, and that's when we all started.
yeah,
And that's how we built from there. Went from there to kicks. We started to go to kicks, and then the elbows came in later on, of course.
yeah.
And when the competition got better, the elbows come into it.
It was sort of like two sectors. There was the Bob Jones crew who started originally, and Bob did start it, no doubt, in Australia. And then Stefan started his lot up, and Bob was the BJC, and there was the Oceania Muay Thai or Australian Muay Thai Federation back then, or that's what it was called. But so there's sort of two different bodies there was that started off, but they definitely Bob brought it to Australia.
Yeah, no, I was there when Briggs and Nugget and Tony Hill took on the team of Thais. That was a fantastic night.
That was a
I know both you boys were there.
Yeah, Festival Hall in Brisbane.
Yeah,
it
was a good crowd.
Yep. And a great start to Muay Thai. Look, you look at where we started, and I've been lucky enough in Roger as well to see how it's progressed through the years. And then you look at what talent Australia has, and especially Queensland, it's amazing.
Yeah, Queensland's the toughest at the moment. It's the best skill.
Now, Roger, you've had some good champions. Mr. Finlayson is still running around.
Yeah, Tony Coburn first, and Kurt. Well, Kurt started early with me. Then he went to Joe, and progressed from there when I stopped. I think so.
And Kurt's operating a gym out of your business now.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
He's looking after the boys.
Yeah, he's got a few there. He's starting to come through. His first fight the other night, or up among his first, and his first girl fought the other night.
I was going to ask you, he's got some girls training with him.
Yeah, we've got a couple of girls there fighting. Yeah.
Yeah. You like the girls competing yourself?
Yeah, it doesn't worry me. It's pretty good. Yeah, I like it.
Because I think they're a large part of our future.
Yeah, and
Certainly as a sport they are.
Exactly.
But certainly for the crowds seem to
as a crowd,
appreciate
they
it.
are, yeah.
Yeah. Now,